something like this. You can repeat after me. Hopefully you can read. It's kind of a little small, but hopefully you can read. Maharshinam Viguraham
Maharshinam Viguraham
Giham Asmekam Aksharam Yaganam Japa Yagyosmi Stavaranam Himalayah Maharshinam Viguraham Giram Asmikam Aksharam Yagyanam Japa Yagyosmi Stavaranam Himalayah. Anybody want to chant? Want to say it?
Maharshinam Bhriguraham
Maharshinam Viguraham
Giram Asmekam Aksharam
Giram Asmekam Aksharam
Yagyanam Japa Yagyosmi
Yagyanam Japa Yagyosmi
Stavaranam Himalaya.
Stavaranam Himalaya. Anybody else?
Maharshinam Riguraham
Maharshinam Viguraham
Giram Asmekam Aksharam
Giram Asmekam Aksharam
Yagyanam Japa Yagnosami
Yagyanam Japa Yagyosmi
Stavaram Himalaya.
Stavaranam Himalaya. Maybe somebody from ladies?
Maharshinam Viguraham
Maharshinam Viguraham
Dhirasmasmikasmaram
Giram Asmekam Aksharam
Yagyanam Japa Yagyosmi
Yagyanam Japa Yagyosmi
Stavaranam Himalaya.
Stavaranam Himalaya. Anybody else?
Maharshinam Viguraham
Maharshinam Viguraham
Giram Asmi Ekam Aksharam
Giram Asmekam Aksharam
Yagyanam Japa Yagnosmi
Yagyanam Japa Yagyosmi
Stavaranam Himalaya.
Stavaranam Himalaya. Okay, thank you very much. If you're new, maybe you're wondering, why do we have to recite this in Sanskrit? We don't even understand the language. Well, the actual Sanskrit verses actually have a lot of spiritual potency in themselves. It's kind of beyond the material understanding, but if ever you attend Gita Jayanti, it's once a year we recite the whole Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit, and it's just like you come out of there like with a new consciousness. So anyways, so the verse translation is this: of the great sages I am Brigu, of vibrations I am the transcendental Om, of sacrifices I am the chanting of the holy names Japa, and of immovable things I am the Himalayas. So just to give a little bit of context, this is Krishna, the Supreme Person, speaking to Arjuna, and he's giving like a list of different ways that we can understand Krishna. And so we can move on to the purport here. So the purport: by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Brahma, the first living creature within the universe, created several sons for the propagation of various kinds of species. Among these sons, Brigu is the most powerful sage. Of all the transcendental vibrations, Om, Omkar, represents Krishna. Of all sacrifices, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the purest representation of Krishna. Sometimes animal sacrifices are recommended, but in the sacrifice of Hare Krishna, there is no question of violence. It is the simplest and the purest. Whatever is sublime in the world is a representation of Krishna. Therefore, the Himalayas, the greatest mountains in the world, also represent him. The mountain named Meru was mentioned in the previous verse, but Meru is sometimes movable, whereas the Himalayas are never movable. Thus, the Himalayas are greater than Meru. Om Ajnanatimiyandasya Jnananshara Sharakaya Chakshu Enmilitam Nirna Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachayine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, I wanted to talk about this verse because this is Kartik Mas, and this is a great opportunity to take up a new vow. It's a way to up your spiritual game, So, I'm just wondering, does anybody here have an idea of a vow maybe that they're taking for Kartik? You can just lift your hand. Krishna Seva, what are you going to do?
I've heard from some of the devotees that it's good time for additional spiritual service, some service or practice, or like reading more, chanting more, I don't know, doing more seva at the temple.
So do you have an idea of what you want to do? You do a lot of seva already.
Probably I will be reading maybe every day.
Okay, good. I'm also wondering, who here chants japa every day? Can lift your hand. Chant japa, Hare Krishna mantra on the beats. Lift higher.
Wow.
Very good, very good. So, can somebody tell me why do we chant japa? Do you want to just tell me why we do it? Why do we do it?
I feel positive. Very selfish answer, but I feel positive.
You feel positive?
Very positive.
Makes you feel positive. And you're right, Prabhu.
To remember the Lord.
To remember the Lord. Very good. Anybody else? Yes.
To communicate with the Lord and to control the senses of my mind.
Yes. To communicate with the Lord and to control the senses of your mind. Very good. Very good. So one reason why we do that, Krishna says himself, he says, of all sacrifices, he is the chanting of the holy names and japa. And then in the purport, Prabhupada says that of all sacrifices, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the purest representation of Krishna. So this means that Krishna is his names. Krishna is japa. And so that means when we're chanting Hare Krishna, when we're chanting this mantra, we're actually associating directly with Krishna. And maybe we know this theoretically, but do we really feel it? Do we really chant as if he's there with us, And I think it's important to point out also that Krishna says of sacrifices. So it's a sacrifice. It's a yajna. And that means it's not necessarily the easiest thing. Sacrifice means you're taking something away from your own life, something in order to give. So you could be doing so many other things, but you're sacrificing your time, your energy to do that. Why do we want to do, what's the point of sacrificing ourselves for Krishna? Why would we want to do that? Anybody have any idea? What's the point of sacrifice? Yes?
Pleases him.
It pleases him, yes. This is how you show love, actually. When you think about your relationships that you have with the people around you, it involves sacrifice, Just think of how much a mother has to sacrifice for her children, actually. Think about, she literally has to stop working, give up everything, and just completely dedicate her life to the baby and the child. And it keeps going her whole life. And the amount of money, actually, especially in today's economy, that goes into. So this is how you show love, through sacrifice. So we're trying to develop this loving relationship with Krishna, with God. Because why do we want to do that? The first step is understanding how much he's actually done for us. And it comes with humility, because at first with the ego you think, oh, I've accomplished this, I have this job, I have this family, I did this. But when you realize that everything that he gave to us, so much that he did for us, just being in this country, in this very privileged country, and having this wonderful temple and these lovely deities and everything. So once you understand everything he does for us, then you want to do something back. You want to sacrifice yourself for him. So I wanted to share a couple quotations, citation verses, shlokas, because this is what our whole tradition, our whole movement is based on. Like, we never want to just say anything that comes to our mind. Oh, I thought about this. Look at me, I'm so smart. It's not like that, because the mind is so limited. The human being is super limited, actually. In the Sri Upanishad, it says we have 4 defects, all of us. No matter how advanced you are, 4 defects. One is that we are prone to illusion. 2 is that we have a propensity to cheat. And 3 is the senses are imperfect. And 4, anybody knows the 4th one?
We lie a lot.
We said propensity to cheat, an illusion, senses are imperfect.
We make mistakes.
We make mistakes, yes. So propensity to cheat, actually one way to see that is we tend to cheat people by pretending we know more than we do, actually. So we try to avoid that. So this is why we use Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Guru, spiritual masters, enlightened beings. Sadhu is somebody who's dedicating their life to service of the Lord. And Shastra is scriptures. So scriptures are beyond the material realm. It's information coming from God directly to us. So nothing that's in scriptures we could actually figure out on our own. So this is why we refer back to scripture. It's perfect information. So where does this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra comes? It's in different scriptures, it's in different shastras, but one place here that it talks about it is in the Kali Santara Upanishad. It says, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Iti Sodakam Nam Nam Kali Kalmasas Nasaham, Nata Pratapya Sarva Vide Vishyati. I don't know how I'm supposed to say that, but anyways. So basically it's saying that this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, these 16 names composed of 32 syllables, are the only means to counteract the evil effects of Kali Yuga. In all the Vedas, it is seen that to cross the ocean of nations, there is no alternative than the chanting of the holy names. So if you're a follower of the Vedas, Vedas means knowledge. So if you're following absolute knowledge, then you have to understand that this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is the only way that we can counteract the evil effects of Kali Yuga. What is Kali Yuga? Kali Yuga is the age that we're in right now. It's a degraded stage where religious principles and values are very low, and they're going to keep going down. So the question is, do we want to go down with it? Kali Yuga is like, the way I like to see it, it's like every age is like a river. And then the first age, Satya Yuga, the golden age, is like a slow river. And the river goes to hell, basically. And the boat of self-realization is slow also. It's very difficult to attain self-realization. In this age, the river is very fast, but the boat is very fast also. The boat is this chanting of Hare Krishna, Maha Mantra. And the question is, do you want to get on the boat or do you want to flow down the river? That's the question. And so this next verse I wanted to point out is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is actually the word of Lord Chaitanya himself. So we have here on the right, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the latest incarnation of Krishna on earth, about 500 years ago. But this verse actually originally comes from another scripture called the Brihan Naradiya Purana, and but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to point it out and expand on it. And it's saying Harinama, 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 Kale Nashdeva, Nashkeva, Nashkeva, Anyata. So in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. Is there another way?
No.
Three times. Three times he said it 3 times. So it's important to stress that because there's so many different methods nowadays, different systems of yoga and meditation and so many things. But according to Vedic scriptures, there's no other way in this particular age that we can achieve liberation from all of the suffering. So who here is struggling with the 6 senses, which include the mind? Anybody's having a hard time with the mind sometimes? Yes, yeah. Yes, I mean, we all are. Manastashtanyani pakitistani kashati. Krishna says, all living entities in this conditioned world are struggling with the 6 senses, which include the mind. And so, how can we get free from this? How can we get free from this stuff, this birth, death, and old age that we all have to deal with? First of all, we have to understand that it is possible to get free. It is possible. The only way to really understand that for real is when you meet somebody who's free from that. When you meet like a pure devotee of the Lord that just can barely sleep, barely eat, and be totally fine. Like Srila Prabhupada, he used to go to bed at like 9 p.m., wake up at like 1 a.m. and just start his day. Start translating Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting and everything. Just blows your mind, doesn't it? Well, this is what happens when you actually start to take to this process seriously. Not just casually on the side, maybe chant here and there, maybe follow principles a little bit. No, when you actually take it seriously, you can actually get free from this material energy, from the suffering. It's literally possible because we see it happening, And there's examples of devotees that are from a lot more degraded background, like Srila Prabhupada. You can say, he grew up in a pious family and he had a good upbringing and that's why he was like this. Well, actually, you saw his disciples were totally degraded, like hippies, where they were doing all kinds of drugs, all kinds of illicit sex, just so much illicit activity. And by taking to this process seriously, by chanting Hare Krishna a lot and following the principles and just surrendering to Srila Prabhupada, they became pure devotees. They quit these bad habits so fast. And we can do the same. Even for me, I was a hippie also, actually. And I was doing all of these things. And now I have no interest. And this is a way that you can see that it works, is because people that used to have a taste, they used to like doing sinful activities, they have no interest anymore. Actually, they're disgusted by it. So this is how you know that this process works. And it's also in the Srimad Bhagavatam 6:2-14 that says Sanketyam tariham hasva shobda hilavam eva vaikuntanam gahanam asheka aram vidu. One who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reactions of unlimited sins, even if he chants indirectly to indicate something else, jokingly, or musical entertainment, or even neglectfully. This is accepted by all the learned scholars of the scriptures. Makes me think about when we go on Harinam and people, sometimes they don't like us and they'll say, "You Hare Krishnas, get out of here." But they don't know actually what this is doing, even jokingly, and they're making fun of us, but they're getting benefits from it actually also. But it's this chanting is very, very powerful. And we shouldn't take it lightly. And we hear this a lot, if you come to the temple. And I find sometimes we'll take it as, oh, kirtan. Yes, I love kirtan. Yes, I love kirtan. Yes, kirtan is very important, actually. It's the Yuga Dharma. It's technically the congregational chanting of the names of the Lord. However, how often are we doing kirtan? If you come to the temple in the morning, we do a little kirtan. Maybe you come on the Friday, we do kirtan, we do some kirtan now. But the rest of the week, think how many hours you're not chanting Hare Krishna. You're not chanting the holy names of the Lord. So you have the opportunity, whenever you have free time, to take up your beads and chant Hare Krishna. And really take it seriously. Because you're associating with Krishna in that moment. He's there with you, you know? And it's what we're supposed to do. So I just wanted to keep it simple. I just wanted to share a few japa tips that I've gotten from senior Vaishnavas or just from my own experience. I recently had the great fortune of going to New Vrindavan, and I took japa workshop by His Grace Mahatma Prabhu, which is kind of known to be like the japa workshop guru, and it's wonderful. And he made me realize some things. He was saying, most of us are not chanting good japa. That was like his thing. That was like the thing. It was like, we're not chanting. And the thing is, I've noticed quality results brings quantity. So like, people are saying, how could I chant 16 rounds a day? I don't have time for that. But if it was quality japa and you had a taste and you were really enjoying it, then you would make the time. Like you would. So chances are, if you can work on the quality, then it will bring you to want to chant more, and then it will increase the quantity. Because nobody wants to do something for 2 hours that they're not enjoying, that it's not bringing them happiness or a sense of bliss, which is supposed to be. If you don't feel anything when you're chanting, chances are there's something wrong. You can change something in your life or something with the japa, and because you're supposed to feel like bliss. You're supposed to feel something. So just some practical tips that I wrote down. So one is go to bed early and wake up early. Simple enough, but it's not that easy. Because I heard this from Kalakanta Prabhu. He told me, your day actually starts the night before. Your day doesn't start in the morning. It actually started last night. Because what time you go to bed at, what you did before bed, will determine what will happen the next day. So, practical tips: don't eat before bed. Don't look at a screen before bed. Like 2 hours before sleeping, don't eat. No screen time 1 hour before bed. It's funny because a lot of people come to the temple, they ask for advice, and oftentimes I end up giving more like health advice more than spiritual advice, because they relate to each other actually. People that have good discipline, who can know how to go to bed early, wake up early, they're a lot more able to chant more and actually read more and do all of these things. So ideally, you want to chant your rounds early in the morning, like ideally before 6 a.m. This is like 4 to 6 is like Brahma Muhurta. It's the most efficient, most powerful time to progress spiritually. And so it's the best time. And I've noticed myself too, somehow the rounds get in so much easier at that time. The more later on in the day you do it, the more it feels like it takes a while. And then there's so many things going on, so many noises, this and that, and it's just very difficult. So the earlier you can do it, the better. You can try chanting with Prabhupada. On YouTube, you can find Srila Prabhupada chanting, and it's kind of motivating like that. 3 important P's of chanting: pronunciation, posture, and prayer. So you want to properly pronounce. You want to still chant fast enough that it doesn't take you 3 hours to chant, but make sure you're pronouncing everything properly. And hold yourself upright, a nice posture, and have a prayerful mood. Like, I like to have yes, I'm chanting and I'm focusing on the sound vibration, but at the same time, I like to have like a prayer in my mind, like, Krishna, please help me come to you, or Krishna, please purify my heart, or Krishna, help me. Krishna, help me. Like, I'm struggling, or Krishna, please purify my heart. Please make me your servant. Just have like a prayer and then chant it like that. Like Prabhupada said, we should be chanting like a baby crying to his mother. That we're helpless without him. We can't do anything without Krishna, because that's actually how it is. If we don't realize that, that's because of the ego. But we're actually helpless without him. You can try, if you can't sit there for so long, you can try walking around, pacing back and forth, going for a walk in nature. It's also very nice. And always strive to increase your number of rounds per day, unless you're at a solid 16. But, we should always be chanting more and more, I mean, it could be like every month, maybe you go up one or something. But if you've been at the same number of rounds for a long time, chances are that you're not advancing so much. And also because you should take japa as a top priority. Like, this is the most important part of my day. Everything else is secondary. You need to maintain yourself materially. Yes, you need to work. You need to do all these things in order so that you can keep your body and soul together, so that you can focus on chanting good japa. Because this is where you're actually advancing. This is where you're purifying your heart. Prabhupada says chanting is the essence of our philosophy. So, we have like 1 million books. We have so many books to read. But the essence of that is that it should all get us to chant more sincerely, and stay away from offenses as much as possible. So, and one last point I wanted to share was, it really helps if you can chant with other people. Chanting alone is hard. And it's hard to have the motivation, and your phone's there, and then you're tired and this and that. So I recommend, ideally, if you can come to the temple in the morning. We're chanting here every morning, and it's very nice. It's like the rounds get in so much better. So we're chanting from like 5:15 to 6 pretty much. So it's really nice. If you can't do that, maybe you can chant with your partner or a roommate if you live with them, or you can chant with a friend on the phone. You have a friend, we both want to chant. Me and Bhakta Gabriel here, we started doing that every morning. It's actually really nice. Some mornings it's harder. I don't feel like chanting, but if I'm on the phone with him, I know that we're depending on each other, and I know like that I need to keep chanting because I know he's hearing me, and we're motivating each other like that. We do it every morning from 8 to 8:45. So that's just some basic little recommendations for you. I'm wondering if you guys have any questions or reflections or corrections or anything on the topic of japa meditation. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yes, Mr. Prabhu. Anybody?
Thank you, Prabhu. I guess most of us do not even have the beats.
Yes, thank you.
Chant without.
That's a good point I wanted to mention. If you don't have beads already, we do have some. You can take some home. And I don't have my mala with me, but it's very simple. You just hold the beads like this, and then you chant on each mala, you chant the Maha Mantra one time. So that's a good point. Thank you.
Second question is,
yes.
Why do we have to chant only on beats? Why can't we chant in the mind?
Okay, I know what he's doing over here. Thank you, Prabhu. Because it's more effective like that. So what we're trying to do with any meditation is you're trying to get the mind's attention. You're trying to focus the mind on something. So if you get your senses involved, then you keep the mind more focused. So when you're chanting it out loud, then you're hearing it. When we hear things, it grabs our attention. Like when you listen to music, you can just focus on the music fully. So it's like that. For a good 8 months, I was living at another ashram in another organization, and it was japa meditation, but in the mind. And as soon as I started chanting out loud, Hare Krishna out loud, I could saw that it was more effective, that I was more focused on that. So that's why. Yes.
Somebody doesn't have a question. I have third question.
Yes.
Maybe we'll chant others. The third question is, you said 16 rounds. That's a lot. Why can't we just chant once?
Well,
instead of chanting 16 rounds mechanically, why can't I just chant only once with all my love for Krishna?
Well, why should a mother only sacrifice herself a little bit for her children? Why can't she just sacrifice herself a little bit for her children? Why does she have to do so many things for them. It's so you can show your love, You think of how much he does for you all the time. The least you can do is give 2 hours of your day to him. That's the least you can do. And also, it's supposed to be joyful. It's literally like a beautiful experience. But one thing I will say is, it takes time. It's a very gradual process, and it's okay if it takes a long time. It's just we have to know what the goal is and slowly make our way up to that. So you start with 1 round a day. Takes maybe like 7 minutes. I think we have 7 minutes in a day. And then eventually you go up. Maybe it's been 2 weeks, now it's 2 rounds. Maybe it's been 2 weeks, maybe now it's 3. And over time you go like that. So it's like that. And also because this is what's been prescribed by Srila Prabhupada, and he's the direct representative of Krishna. He's in the disciplic succession going all the way up to Lord Krishna himself. So his guru's guru, he goes all the way up like that. And so the only way we can actually make advancement for real is if we surrender to him. We take what he says to be the truth and we follow it. And that's it. And obviously right off the bat, you can't do that. You have to develop some faith, some respect. But this is how it works. This is how spiritual advancement works. It's not like, oh, I take some, I leave some, oh, maybe this, maybe that. You can do that, but I'm telling you, you're going to come back. You're going to come back to this material world full of suffering if you do that. You can if you want, but personally, I'm trying to perfect my life. That's my thing. Hello.
So, I just have one quick question. So you mentioned about chanting, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is another way to listen to that chant. Like if you're watching a kirtan, say on YouTube in today's Kalyug, if you are just listening to those chants, say for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, versus you chant yourself for 30 to 45 minutes, since everybody's way of perceiving, everybody likes to do the same thing differently, is there a grading system? Oh, you should listen, but you should chant more. Is there an encouragement to chant more? Or is it completely okay if we don't chant, but we listen to the chanting?
So in Bhakti Yoga, there's nine processes of devotional service, and the 2 main ones are Shravanam, Kirtanam, which is hearing and chanting. So it's hearing the Shastras, the scriptural knowledge, and chanting. This is what it is. It's chanting. If you get initiated, like we have many, who here is initiated in here? You don't want to say because you're humble. Okay, you don't want to say. But we have some initiated devotees here, and the vows that they take when they get initiated in the spiritual tradition, it's not hear 30 minutes of kirtan a day. It's not like that. It's chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 16 rounds minimum and follow the 4 regulative principles. And Prabhupada says if we do that for initiated, we chant 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, he guarantees it's going to take us home back to Godhead, back to the spiritual world. So this is what I mean. We have to take the instructions. We all have our personal preferences, We all have I'd rather watch a kirtan, or I'd rather hear a class, or I'd rather, we all have our personal preferences. But spiritual life means you surrender to the guru. You pick a guru, you use intelligence to pick a guru, and then you surrender. Whatever he tells you, you organize your life, you structure your life so that you can do that. And you put aside your own, I like this, I don't like that, and you actually take the process seriously. This is what's been prescribed to us in this day and age. So, thank you, Prabhu. Yes.
Just want to say, Prabhu, about the 16 rounds. But I heard that we take 21,600 breaths every day. So when we complete 16 rounds, it's like 25,000 something. So it's been told that we haven't done that for many years, so the recommended is 16. I think that's what I heard. So just wanna share.
And actually, in this tradition, like in India, the typical was 64 rounds. This is what people were doing. Think about it, 64 rounds. Then Prabhupada came here. Then his disciples were like, no way we can do 64. And then he was like, okay, fine, we'll cut it in half, 32. And they're like, Prabhupada, we can't do that. They're like, fine, minimum 16. So, anyways, we have a question over here. Yes.
I think there was a question, right, that why do we have to chant 16 rounds versus we just take Lord's name once and we are done. So I think I've heard in some lectures that for a pure devotee, chanting Lord's name once, yes, it works. But for conditioned souls like us, we are so conditioned that we have to practice. So that practice is needed. 16 rounds, yes, Prabhupada's mercy, as you said, right? That he settled us for 16. He started for more. But when he saw that, that capacity was not there, and that's when he lowered that, he gave us that mercy so that we could settle for 16. And so I think we have to get to a stage where we take Lord's name once, especially at the time of death, that when we are, that's when it has to work. So it is a process that throughout our life we are chanting, that it becomes so natural that the one chant that we take at the time of death, that works. So that's important. And if we take the example of Gajendra, he took the name of the Lord just once and Lord was there. He was not chanting 16 rounds, that he had to wait for 16 rounds for Lord to appear. He was so pure that he called for Krishna in the mode of complete surrender once and Lord was there. So that's the importance of chanting one round. So we have to get to a stage that we keep chanting without counting, that even if we chant once, then yes, we are done. Yeah, so just wanted to share that.
Yes, thank you very, very much. This is a really good point, actually, that, just to answer his question, that this chanting, or all this devotional practices, but this chanting especially, is we're preparing for the ultimate test of life. What's the ultimate test of life? Death. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, whatever state of your consciousness is at the time of death will determine your next life, your next body. So we're doing all of this so that we can remember Krishna at the time of death, so that we can be chanting his names, so that he comes and personally takes us back home to him. And the mind gets really disturbed. As you get older, you get sick, it really gets cloudy. I don't remember it anyways, but from what the Shastras say. So we really have to practice so that we can make sure that we pass the test. You don't want to fail. You don't want to fail the test. Yes.
Thank you very much for a nice class. I just find that these japa workshops and japa retreats are very impactful on our quality of our chanting. And I'm just wondering if you could possibly share some inspirational highlights from your retreat with Mahatma Prabhu to get us inspired.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, it was fantastic, actually. Some highlights. A highlight for me, and I don't think I mentioned it, but I think it was in the slide, but I jumped over it. But Krishna in your heart made sure that I remember it. He really made it clear to me, unplug from everything. When you're chanting, unplug. And I asked him a question, because I had this, I think I heard somewhere else, or I had this idea that, if you're chanting and you get this great idea, or you remember, I really have to do this later, I really need to do this. I had this idea that I should just quickly put it in my reminders and then go back to chanting, and then it will be out of my mind, and then I won't remember it later. But he told me, no. He was like, unplug, forget about your phone, forget everything else. He said, if it's really important, it'll come back to you. But there's nothing more important than what you're doing right now, than this chanting. Another highlight was at the end of the class, he just, after giving us all of these tips and all this inspiration, he just got us to chant. And we were like a full room, like maybe 30, 40 something. And we chanted for a good 50 minutes, and it was like the best rounds. I don't remember chanting so good after that. And after it was done, I was just like, can we keep going? Like, it's just like this. So, chanting with others is very important. And yeah, so that was really nice. Yes, Mother Raja.
Actually, Madhu had a question.
Oh, yes. Okay, so do you have a microphone? Or?
What happens when all the yugas are passed?
Okay, so there's 4 yugas, 4 eras of time, and he's wondering what happens after the last one's done, right? Yes. So after the last one, this Kali Yuga, you have basically annihilation of everything, and it starts over again. So there's like a cycle, you know? It's like once you get to the end of something, then it starts over again. So then it'll start back at Satya Yuga, the golden age, where religious principles are at their highest. But we don't want to be there when that happens. We'd rather be back in the spiritual world, where we truly belong with Krishna, our loving Father. Hi, Krishna. I think, do we have another question from back there? Yes. How much time do we have? Should we? 12 minutes. Okay.
Service is not a joke. And if you want to clean your car, you need to be here, to be there, it's like you're cheating yourself. Because the more you are doing, the more you are getting back. It's always like this. And whatever you are doing, if you are doing these things with Krishna, for Krishna, it means if you start some work, you are thinking, oh Krishna, let's do it. Help me with this. It means that you always think about Krishna, and it's prevent you to do something not really good or whatever. If you are doing with Krishna, you are doing your best. It means you are doing your best, whatever work you are doing, whatever service you are doing, even chanting. And after a while, you start to feel that looks like Krishna is like he's always with you. You see him everywhere. You could feel him everywhere. But this is only in this case if you are really doing this work.
Yes, thank you very much, Mataji. Yeah, everything, the more you give, the more you get back to Krishna, yeah. Because he's the root of the tree. So when you water the root of the tree, then the whole tree gets nourished. We're like a little leaf, you know, or like he's like the stomach and we're like the hand. And so, but we're a hand trying to feed itself, but it doesn't work. You never feel really satisfied. The hand has to feed the stomach for the hand to be nourished. So there's only one way to find out, though. This all seems theoretical until you actually put it into practice, until you actually try for yourself and see what it does to you. You know, you have some faith. This is the steps in devotional service. First step is shraddha, so you have some faith. You have some respect or some admiration for either a person, a devotee, or the knowledge or the practice. You have some faith. And then after that, then it's sadhu sangha. So you start to associate, you start to hang out, spend time with people that are practicing seriously. And then you're like, okay, there's something here. So then step 3 is bhajana kriya. Then you start practicing for yourself. And you start taking the process seriously, you start practicing. And then step 4, anartha nivritti. Anarthas are like the unwanted things in the heart. It's like the dust, you know, in the heart. And nivritti means removed. So anartha nivritti means you start to see the unwanted stuff, the anger, the lust, the greed, then it starts to clear up slowly and slowly. And then, I wasn't going to go through the whole thing, but because I'm still trying to still a little nirvana, but yes.
And one another remark, if you want really to know what it is and how it will turn your life, it's only one way, start to do it.
Just do it.
There is no other way.
There's no other way. There's no other way. There's no other way.
Chant the Krishna name, chant the Krishna name, chant the Krishna name. That's it.
Okay, I think we're done. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for such an enlightening class. It inspires me to chant more and more attentively, especially during this month. So next in our program is we will be chanting the Ashtakam prayers. I will ask Alex if you put the text on the screen.
If you keep going the slides, it'll go.
And we'll ask Mataji Nirantar Kirti to lead us Kirtan. And the process is we will have two lines. Men's Prabhus will be coming from here, and ladies Matajis will be coming from here. I will ask one Mataji, one volunteer, and one Prabhu volunteer to take care of these sticks. So we will line up, and when you are coming, the volunteer will give you a drop of water in your hands to purify hands, and then you just put the water from your hands on the floor, on the rug, and then you take the ghee stick, and we will light it up, and you just offer it to Lord Damodar, that picture with small Krishna and Mataji Yashoda, and you can offer it to Shri Gorintai as well, and then we will move on so everyone has a chance to do it, and then we'll have more kirtan. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Just give us 1-2 minutes to set up everything.
It depends on what face mask you want to go. It depends on what Mataji's face is too. I think usually she goes very